Hello and welcome to On the Sunny Side. I'm Sunny Grineveld. I'm an entrepreneur and Forbes under 30 list maker. And every week here on F15, I speak to people who are shaping the digital economy and who are using tech for good. This week's guest is an extraordinary man, Rasmus Nutzhorn. He's the Vice President of Sustainability and Innovation at Ricola. Rasmus, I am so excited to have you here on the Sunny Side. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's so nice to be here.
Let's jump right into it. Are you a morning or a night person?
Oh, so the quick answer was morning or is morning person. I was a night person. That has changed over the years.
And if I gave you a time machine, you could travel past, present, future. Where do you go? And also geographically, any particular spot you choose?
So I'm one of the few people who actually has a time machine, and I traveled backwards from 2042 to 2013.
And this just begs a follow-up question. What did you learn from that particular time travel, and why 2042?
2042 was when we decided to send people backwards to influence that we ended up in some certain scenarios, and 2013 was around was like late enough into the digital age where things were really picking up. So that was a logical insertion.
Right, we're going to dive more deeply into this. But first, what is a question that is on your mind currently?
So I'm currently very curious and interested in the creativity that human beings hold when it comes to finding solutions on not to change.
Hmm. What is success to you?
That is when people around me evolve and do magnificent things.
When it comes to digital change, there are really few people who I know who have time and again found ways to drive it forward. Be this pretty much in any context, on the outside, creating an agency that is doing it for many companies, being on the inside of Ricola, such a traditional world brand, be it
Mm.
through many of the startups you've been involved with. What is it about digital change that fascinates you? Why is it important?
So yeah, so thank you for that question. I think that what inspires me when it comes to digital is the pace. It's just another word for something that happens really fast, and it's a it's a it's a term that encapsulates a lot of change and a lot of new things that we didn't know before. So it also comes with a tremendous amount of uncertainty and increasing complexity that just freaks a lot of people out. And I like to work in that environment. I'm like a fish in water when chaos and complexity goes up.
Now, when you mentioned before this time travel, and you're the first person
Mhm.
to say, oh, wait a minute, I've already, I've been there, done that. um, why is it so important for people who are engaging in digital change to understand the future or to have a clearer vision than other executives who are playing their role in the economy just as much, but who oftentimes their time horizon is the next quarter or the financial results at the end of the year? Why is it particular to this digital change piece that you really need to have this future perspective? And how
Mm.
do you get it?
So the time machine obviously is a metaphor for the ability of seeing something you want in the future and then reverse engineering backwards. And I think what has come with digital and what has come with like an unleash of tools and code and building blocks for people is this amazing ability to create whatever it is you are imagining. So if you mentally travel to the future and you look at what is it that I actually want to create, then it has become incredibly easy to reverse engineer from that point, and then ask questions on how would you do this if you could engineer it from zero? How would you do this if it was a blank canvas? And in more and more instances, you can challenge status quo and say, I'm going to do this in a completely new way from zero.
You're at a traditional company. Ricola is, I think, world famous at this point. Everybody, or very many people in this world, have tried your product, who are familiar with your product. So how do you manage? How do you manage disruptive technological change from that perspective and position?
I think it's referred to as the term ambidextrous organizations, or ambidexterity, where you hold multiple, I would say, adjacent business models simultaneously. So one thing is that you make sure that your core is optimized and your core business is running in the best way possible, and you make it more sustainable, and you make it as a better contribution to the environment. And then simultaneously, and I think that's the important thing, is it's not sequential, it's simultaneously you explore future scenarios and future business models. And I think from a leadership perspective, it requires the ability to stay insanely curious, and to be okay with things being almost in opposition to each other. And what I deeply love about Ricola is that we're a company that in our DNA has this duality of kind of opposing ideas that are not super logically or super logical hand in hand ideas. It's we sometimes say to each other that we are both. So we're both one thing and another. We're both legacy and new. We're both a cough drop and a candy. And this it might seem like a super small thing, but it's actually tremendously important when it comes to managing disruptive tech, because if you do not allow yourself to be curious about it and move with it, you are stuck with your core, and that is a little bit like a casino and putting everything on red at the roulette table. So if you don't have that, you know, almost like call it like a seismograph where you are in contact with signals that are coming, then it's a high risk game.
What is the future you want for Ricola and more generally sort of for organizations similar to Ricola? What is it that you hope they can achieve going forward in this digital time?
So I think, and that's absolutely, or that's not in Ricola so much. I think all organizations have to be in motion, and I'm very curious about this. I'll call it mid-size category, and I'm very curious about mid-size category in Europe. And since I've been lucky enough to be invited into Switzerland, I'm very curious about the mid-size in Switzerland, and there my hope and wish is movement. It is movement. It's curiosity. It is evolution, so that things evolve, and it is that evolution and movement may be seen as a de-risk. So I see a lot of examples around me that people mistake movement with risk, and it's the opposite. Ta-da! If you stand still, you are increasing risk. And I would just hope that and wish that we would somehow unlock that movement, that evolution of companies to be evolving their business logic to fit the age they're in, and I think my personal journey is to figure out how to do that, and it is to figure out if it's possible. And I am very hopeful and I'm very optimistic that it is possible.
What kind of leaders will it take for this to become the norm, for motion to become the norm?
I think it requires the ability, as I said before, to be curious. And I think curiosity comes from a place of somehow having accepted that you might not know everything. So you are curious on new things. And I think accepting that space might come with um, uh, maybe a lower ego. And maybe that comes from an ability to basically ask a very fundamental question as a leader, which is how can I be of service? How can I help? How can I basically emancipate my organization to move in a way where I as a leader do not hold all the answers. I think that's one of the requirements, and I think that I would say modus operandi then creates a environment that is safer for experimentation, and I would also, it's probably creates a more diverse space if you wake up in a curious and in a curious place. I think that creates the ability for a way more multicultural approach. And multicultural, I mean that in the sense of agriculture, actually, where it's not monoculture, it's more multi. So you have more ideas, you have more experiments running, you have more business logics, you're a little more diversified, and you see these, I would say, this almost multicultural field with many plants, and you see that as a de-risking measure, right? You see it as a if I stay in movement, if I have many options, if I have grown a lot of small trees to this size, then when the big trees fall, light comes down on the small trees and then they grow up. And I can see that requires a leadership type, which I'm also very confident is here. I'm also very confident that it's being acknowledged, that it requires a curious and I would say open for experimentation mindset.
If you could give a book recommendation, just in closing, what would you recommend?
Oh, a book recommendation. Okay, I have.
Thank you.
I have. So the problem is that they're not written yet. No, I'm kidding. So yeah, exactly, time machine. So I would give two. I think that there's an absolute must read in the world today, called The Overstory by Richard Powers. So I just use the analogy of from trees, which has this it's like a collection of novels, and they have trees as a kind of a guiding line through these stories. It's a wonderful, wonderful book. And then I would probably recommend James Clear, who wrote a book called Atomic Habits around small change with gigantic impact, and the ability to see that small continuous improvements have the potential of driving like an unimaginable impact, and which is something I also am a firm believer in. When it comes to sustainability, for example, I think we will create absolutely epic solutions to some gigantic problems, but we won't create them in a day, and they're probably not going to be here fast enough, but they are coming, and they will come by taking small, consistent footsteps and then accumulating over time. With it, you can say like with an accumulation of interest, we will have a much higher impact a little bit later. But it's a very good book, Atomic Habits.
Noted. I will make sure to link both of them in the YouTube description. If you could give a young person young Rasmus or just a young person who wants to drive change in his or her organization forward, a piece of advice, what might you say?
I think I would tell myself, who was very much with the headphones on in front of a computer, that that you could find all the answers if you look to nature. Nature has all the answers, and we just have to look and copy.
Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom, your advice, your insights with us. It's been a huge pleasure to have you here on the sunny side. So thank you, really.
You're welcome. Absolute pleasure.
I really appreciated everyone here tuning in. I didn't say it starting out, but this has been the final episode before the summer break. If you have been watching all of our episodes thus far here on F15, I just want to say from me and the whole team at Forbes, a huge, big thank you. It's been such a pleasure to do these episodes every week. But now, well, we are going to go, hopefully many of us, and enjoy some sun, enjoy the sunny side physically, have some holiday plans, take some vacations, relax. I'm certainly going to be doing that. I hope you will be too. And with that, I just wish you an absolutely fantastic, great summer and that you get to enjoy the sunny side of life.